Some news stories. There's a lot of news. Um, so, this is a dramatic step forward in the conversion of America to a corrupt state. The When Nixon, if you listen to Rachel Maddow's show, it's very good. When Nixon did this, he tried to avoid being prosecuted for Watergate by firing the special prosecutor, and within 12 days they appointed another one and pushed him out. But Trump just pardoned 1,500 people who committed violence against police and otherwise on his watch. So all the last several years of prosecution by the law enforcement have gone for nothing, and this makes it clear that the law is not the ruler in America anymore. It's just which party you're in, and if you're supporting the leader, then if you commit crimes on his behalf, that's legal. And now he is going to go through all the prosecutors and FBI agents who worked on those cases and punish all of them. So this is what happens when you have a completely corrupt government run by a mob boss. There are no laws, there are no rules. It's just that if you butter up the boss and the boss likes you, then you will be temporarily safe. And it points out something which is extremely important, as many other nations have had their democracies collapse the way ours is and end up in a brutal dictatorship, which is where we are. And when this happens, the history is very clear to tell you what to do. And what you have to understand is nobody is safe. They always start by attacking a group that they think not many people will care about, like trans people. The Nazis also started with the trans people and the gay people because they think most people will just let them get abused because they are sure they're not in that group. But nobody is safe. That's the point. They will move from one group to another. And so now you've got white professional FBI agents being punished. You're going to have lawyers punished because they dared to go to court and do their job, prosecuting cases that Trump doesn't approve of. And he's already said he wants to go after all the TV journalists and comedians that make fun of him. And he wants to go after all the Senate and House members who were on the January 6th committee investigating the truth of that. So we are going to be a theocracy where we're going to have statements made where you must agree with them. Everybody in the Republican Party now has to say that Biden did not win the election in 2020. If you say and the point is, they've been getting people to vote for people they hate. There's a woman in the Republican Senate who was sexually abused in the military, and her number one cause is to resist sexual abuse in the military, so she doesn't. Now, Trump is a rapist, and many people on his cabinet are rapists, and in particular, Pete Hegseth is clearly a rapist, and she doesn't want to put him in charge of the military, but they met with her and put some kind of pressure on her so bad that she did vote for him, thus putting him in. And the few Republicans that spoke out before they left politics said that you get death threats. You get told, we'll put out your name, and the mob will come and attack your family and your house. And this is how the Mexican drug cartels do it. If you resist them, they will kill you and your whole family. And by the way, they've said that not only are they going to purge the FBI of agents and the lawyers of agents, they are going to make a public list and publish all the names of people they fire so that Trump's informal militias can kill them and intimidate them. And that's why he let out the Proud Boys and the others. These are what was called the Hitler Youth in the 30s. These are like mobs of young people who will commit violence on behalf of the dictator. So it is a pretty terrifying time in America. And there are ways to push back for a while. And if you push back, you might stop him. As I hear Keith Olbermann say all the time, he's very right, is that America is being saved, to what extent it is, not by the actions of the Democratic Party and good people pushing back, but by the incredible incompetence of Trump and his gang. They're not very strong and they're not very resolute. And when you push back, they often back down. So, however, everybody is capitulating in advance. NBC paid a $15 million bribe. I think CBS paid a $10 million bribe or something, but he did it by the simple expedient of just settling lawsuits that he brought that you knew they were going to lose. So they feel that they have bought themselves safety by bribing a leader. And history shows this never works. Anybody could tell you this. A nation like a news agency like CBS that did publish the truth about Trump a few years ago, he will never forgive you for that. If you bribe him, he might move you down on the list a little bit, but there will come a time when he has to punish you for daring to tell the truth about him, until nobody dares to speak the truth about the leader. So it is important not to capitulate in advance, which people are doing. So this is the purge of FBI agents that's going on. And if he purges all the FBI agents that worked on the cases prosecuting the people he just pardoned, that will be most of the FBI gone. And so FBI actually doing any actual mission, enforcing the law, will be pretty much forgotten. And he is coming after the transgender community, and he ended all DEI initiatives. California is trying to push back, which is good. California has been the haven for the minority groups that are oppressed, and this is certainly the main one being oppressed now. And so Elon Musk is trying to fire many people in the government and take over the government, and he is now an open Nazi. He's not hiding it at all. So we're ruled by rapists and Nazis, and he is demanding access to the government financial database so he can control how the money is spent. And so a senior U.S. official has already resigned because Elon Musk got access to that database, to those servers, and they're trying to fire all public workers. There's a man named Curtis Yarvin that is the intellectual author of the current right, and he believes that we should not be a democracy at all. He believes we should be run by CEOs. States and towns should be under the control of a local tech CEO who will rule it, like Zuckerberg. And this we've done before. We did it in the 1930s. We had company towns like Hooverville, where there's only one business in town and everybody has to work at that business, and they pay you in fake money that you can only spend in the company stores, and the boss sets all the rules, and that is what he thinks is the ideal society. He wants to end democracy, and that is the current position of the Republican Party. And they are implementing it very fast. So Doge, Musk's equipment to eliminate government efficiency, has brought in an HR consultant, and this HR consultant was the Christian HR consultant that would help companies push DEI, designed to push diversity of viewpoint, not race or gender equality or anything. So it's a sort of cover to push, you have to let alt-right people be supported and stuff, which is going to be the modern way it goes. However, she has raped her website and ended that business as she joins the Doge Committee to help remake the federal government rules on these matters, and is trying to conceal that past, which might lead to resistance from people who don't agree that we should be a Christian theocracy, which is certainly what the Republicans want to make us. So that's the political situation is amazing, and we are watching incredibly rapid collapse. And so far, not much stopping them, although the courts may hold them back. The courts held them back to some extent last time. And the free press may hold them back, as long as the press remains free, which is unclear. Anyway, so this is a big issue about AI. I've talked a lot about AI, and I'm teaching a class on it again. One thing about the large language models is they don't understand anything they're doing. They don't know what the words mean. They don't know what the questions mean or the answers mean. They're just like somebody who doesn't speak English, taking the question and comparing it to a bunch of websites until they find a statement with similar words, and then they repeat whatever words came after it. And they said in order to actually understand the world, AIs would have to grow up the way a baby does and actually interact with the world, and then they would learn that things like coffee and wall and chair are actual physical objects you can touch and move, and they're not just arbitrary symbols. So they made a very simple AI and connected it to a very simple robot that can move some blocks around, and show that it does in fact learn to understand the world the way a baby does. So if you teach it just a few simple motions, like put the red block on top of the green block, and move a block to the right and move a block to the left, it learns, and it can then do more complicated motions by combining these smaller motions because it learns what they are and how they mean. So this is the first step towards actually maybe AIs that actually understand what they're doing, because they do have a physical life like us, and they understand that there is a real world out there, and that the words actually stand for objects that exist. This one was pretty interesting. I learned from this one. There's people pushing Global Switch Day as we, X has declared that they're going to support Trump and they're going to stop fact-checking and let him publish lies about vaccines and everything on there. Facebook has totally bent the knee along with it. And so if you want to stop using these corporate media run by oligarchs and use free ones, I did this years ago, moved away from X onto Mastodon because Musk had been a Nazi too long for me to have anything to do with him. But here's the alternatives, and I was interested to see this. I moved to Signal years ago, and I never used Instagram anyway, but I've learned about PeerTube. I may have to move off YouTube. YouTube has threatened to ban me many times for my educational content. The last year or so, they haven't been banning me, but they very well could at any time. And when they seriously threatened to cancel my account and take down all my videos for teaching these classes, I tried to find another place to go, and I couldn't find one. PeerTube looks pretty good. The thing that's holding me back now is that PeerTube does not have closed captions that are automatically generated, and that's really important for educational videos and college courses. But anyway, this is very interesting, and give you a good thing to think about as you, if you want to consider no longer being a slave to these oligarchs that control things. So there was this plane crash in Washington, D.C., and it'll probably be a long time before we have an official statement of the cause. Trump has, of course, come out and blamed it on diversity because that's just his answer for everything. He has no evidence for that. But one thing that is almost certainly true is it's caused by that corridor being far too crowded, and that's because every senator wants to have a direct flight to their hometown, and the airport can't handle the capacity. Also, a bunch of the airspace is blocked for commercial traffic because it's over the White House and such, so all the planes have to go in through a narrow corridor over the river, and there's just too much traffic in that area to keep it safe, and they've been warning them for years not to do it, and the government has been just approving more and more flights there for their convenience until it's apparently got too dangerous. So that's one interpretation of it. Anyway, I'm going to stop.